organized. There's about 4 or 5 official definitions going around, depending on which documents you use. We basically talk about two concepts. It's transfrontier conservation areas and transfrontier parks. Some areas like Kalahari, only the parks, the 2 protected areas, are part of the transfrontier area, and therefore we're talking of transfrontier parks because it is 2 adjoining national parks that are managed together. Transfrontier conservation areas are where the parks and the areas around the parks are included, either because the transfrontier conservation areas are World Heritage Sites or biospheres, or actually just defined all by themselves as community areas that form part of the TFCA and part of the international agreement. This is basically a map of the TFCAs, and no, I haven't found a better map yet. We're still looking. We'll get there. Richtersveld over there, Kalahari over there, Maluti Drakensberg over there, Lebombo TFCA over there, Greater Limpopo there, and Mapungubwe TFCA over there. We have 6 TFCAs, and it adjoins 6 countries: Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Swaziland, and Lesotho. So those are the countries that we as South Africa deal with in the TFCA program. The instruments that we use to set up the TFCAs are Memoranda of Agreement and international treaties. Those are ratified by Parliament. Structures are then set up. We have interministerial committees where the ministers and the politicians are represented. Then we have joint management boards, which is basically the managers of the TFCAs in the different countries. And then we have working groups in some of the TFCAs that work on implementing specific programs. Departments that are involved, it's just not just conservation organizations. Deer and Sandparks is probably the biggest, with KZN Wildlife very involved in the Maluti Drakensberg and the Lebombo as the South African Management Authority. Department of International Relations and Cooperation features also very strongly. Home Affairs, we work with Home Affairs on a regular basis. Police Service, National Intelligence. And then we get to the specific programs that we are running. And some of the best and sexiest ones are the Bearded Vulture Task Force, which Sonia will be telling you a bit later on. We have a number of wildlife translocation programs going on. We're busy with rhinos to Botswana. We have on several occasions transferred game to Mozambique. We are busy developing the lion management SOP for the Kalahari, which is kind of really critical to get done. We have capacity building programs in most of the TFCAs. The biggest ones that have happened in the recent past is the CITES training for the Lesotho staff, Greater Limpopo TFCA Youth Exchange Program between Mozambique and South Africa, the annual Tri-Nations Camp. The next one is within the next month, and then we have a fire management training program in the Maluti Drakensberg. We have a number of cross-border events, and Roland will be able to tell you a bit about them. The most notable is the Tour de Tuli, Desert Nights, the 2 wild runs that we have in Richtersveld and Mapungubwe, Greater Limpopo mountain bike event, Bafuri Sengwe Shangaan Festival, and Roland has had a very nice function the last month, the MDTP 4x4 cross-border route that where he took a lot of tourist journalists on a 4x4 trip in the Drakensberg. Then we have, these are the biggest events or programs that we have run around law enforcement. It's not the exciting stuff and it's not the stuff that we're talking about today, but it is something that is actually happening on a large scale. We have a whole law enforcement cluster with SAPS, DOD, intelligence and game rangers. We have a strategy to implement it. There was a colloquium of all the judiciary of the bordering countries coming together. We have the SADC LEAP strategy with a whole lot of very complicated structures on the South African side to implement it. I'm not going to go into that now. For us, one of the challenges is that South Africa has some very good programs that we're implementing. The ocean economy, the biodiversity economy, wildlife economy that is a subset of that. The EPIP projects like working for water, working for wetlands, working on fire, people in parks, the biodiversity stewardship program. How do we duplicate these in neighboring countries without Big Brother coming in and taking over everything? Because after all, it's a joint partnership and the other countries have to come on an equal footing and also implement the same kind of programs that we're implementing on the South African side. So this is one of the challenges that we are facing, is how to duplicate structures that we already have in our neighbours. There are a number of other challenges, and I'm sure you'll pick them up as the presentations go along. Thank you.